Hello, so I'm only going to be doing a short stream today. You might be wondering why the GSR is here with 40mm filters on it. It's because the video I filmed today, which I think goes on Saturday, was the video about how to convert GSR masks to 40mm. So it's a pretty straightforward, easy thing to do, but people had asked me to do a video on it, so I did a video on it. So there you go. Here's the GSR in 40mm, as you can see, because I've got FP5 filters on it. It's not really any worse or any better like this. I'm still not a massive fan of this mask, just because I don't find the face piece to be all that comfortable, even when you've got a good mask. But otherwise, yeah, if you wanted to use this with conventional filters, not the weird GSR filters, how you do it's included in the video and it goes on. Well, this is the current British Army gas mask. As I've said before in videos, it could be quite good in theory, but I think there's a few things about it that let it down. It is normally Daniel, but I've converted it to 40mm, which was what the video will be on when it goes live. Anyway, I'll take it off for now. But the point was, simply just really, you know, it's just a bit you have to take off. Because basically how it works is it has a 40mm lug on each side, and then it's got this weird plastic system attached to it, where the that's what makes it take its own proprietary filters. Because some people have been saying to me, do I need to get a GSR to 40mm converter? I was like, no, that's pointless, because the mask itself is actually 40mm. It's just by default it comes with the actual weird like proprietary filter mount on it. I don't plan on doing any bottle cutting videos soon, but have Dat Weapons Do Jim, have you seen all the videos I did recently with Mike on his channel? Because if you haven't watched those, you should watch those if you want to see that. But at the moment, most people don't want that, so YouTube's going to start hiding my videos again if I do those. Corona's going to sadly be an issue pretty much everywhere in the world. We'll have to just hope it plays out slower rather than faster, as we've been talking about quite a lot on the streams, but the point is it's going to be bad, really. That's not good, ETF Ross. Where did you buy them from? Shums is at least a filter that's not totally obsolete. The M9 was very good for when it came out, but, you know, using an M9 today isn't a good idea. The mask I'm holding at the moment is a Scott GSR, but I've converted it to 40mm. Or when I say converted, I've just taken the factory bit off that makes it its own filter. Did I miss half a bit of a question there, Insulted? Oh, German M65s, only if they fit you. I'm not a massive fan of the M65, simply for the reason it doesn't fit me very well, and I've spoken to a lot of other people who it doesn't fit. The Romanian M85 I thought was very good. I did a review on that fairly recently. I'll wear something a bit more substantial than that Iceman, but that's what I've been talking about on recent videos. You know, because if it gets really bad, I'd much rather be wearing a full face respirator with the real deal stuff, you know, than a little dust mask. I'm sure there will eventually be an end to that war, like there's an end to all wars, but how long it will drag on, I don't know. Well, as I've said, Aaron, I don't know, I have to keep re-explaining this to people, but the thing is, with my current job, you know, I don't have to go out very often for it, because I'm employed for weekends, other than when I volunteer on Thursdays, and I drive my own car to where I work, and I'm sort of working on my own, so I'm not really in contact with people too much. That's interesting that he's being honest then, Schmitty Vids, because the amount of doctors that you hear on the TV that say, oh, you know, I'm a qualified doctor, but it's nothing to worry about, it's just a flu. Thank you very much, YH. He says, hey, do you remember I questioned you about MCU 2P? Turns out it was MSA Millennium, so I was kind of stonking career things. Getting nasty here. Yeah, stay safe. Yeah, the Millennium's like the replacement for the MCU 2P. So yeah, the Millennium's a better mask. I've got an MCU 2P, but not the Millennium. But with my MCU2P, it's yellowed quite a bit. It didn't have straps, but even when I fit straps to it, I find it's not really airtight, and I think that's probably because maybe part of the rubber seal's gone somewhere in it. I think there could be a massive recession, if not a depression, Pazu, yes, because of how much all the industries at the moment rely on global trade. That's just simply not happening. Yeah, RD40 is 40mm NATO Stanag. I like clip lighters, yes. Oh, is that across all hospitals in the UK? No, I've not seen this. Or is it in one particular hospital? But if they only have 15, things for at once, if it gets severe, then people are fucked, which is what we've sort of been saying. CV radio or CB radio, if you mean little CB radios, they certainly use electricity. Yeah, do something. I've talked a bit about UV for decon before. You really want UVB or UVC, but UVC also burn your skin and eyes, so I'd say go for UVB. So basically what you're saying is when it explodes in England, there's no point even going to the hospital in that regard. You'd probably have better odds staying at home and being quarantined, with, like family members caring for you if applicable. Oh yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because it helps out. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, I think sadly, because this is the problem at the moment, is with our media, is they've been downplaying it for so long. I'm going to post something in the chat that might be a bit frightening for some people, but I think it shows you how quick the window is shifting on how they're talking about it, and that is they were about mass graves earlier. Now, I know this is the Express, which isn't the best newspaper in the world, but still. It's a bit like the Daily Mail, but... there you go, look at that. We've had suspected cases in Oxfordshire. I don't know if there's been anybody confirmed really around here. But yeah. So it seems part of the UK government's plan is if it gets really bad, they'll just be dumping bodies in a pit. Well, at least they're honest about that, I guess. But, it does show the point that, how quickly it went from it's just the flu, it's just the flu. Well, they were originally saying, wasn't it? It wasn't even as bad as the flu. But, you should be more worried about the flu than you should be worried about coronavirus. Does what damage latex? 70% alcohol, no. Or I've never found it has on anything I've ever put it on. Not loads now. No, we're just talking about latest coronavirus stuff. Thank you very much, Ron. How much would you pay for a size large FM12 mask? I think when I got my FM12, but I got mine was a size 2, not a size 3. That was about £40. A while ago, you could get FM12s anywhere between £30 and £60, depending on the condition, if they came with the bag and everything like that. But sadly, now I think they're probably going to be more like $100, £100, maybe even higher. I think there's S10 selling for like 150 quid on eBay at the moment, or bids going as high as that. Yeah, exactly. Watch what they do, Lisa, not what they say. A bit like how China called off that big party conference, is saying we need even more hospitals with even more beds, even though they say, oh, no, the numbers are going down. So if it's clearing itself up, why are they taking more and more actions to contain it? I would have no idea about that, John. Because, I guess diseases in nature can be like other diseases. I don't know. If you're trying to convince me it was a bioweapon, I'd find it more suspicious that it came out of a place very, very close to where there was a biolab. And, it just seems to be horrifically good at infecting people and damaging them. Yeah, when I bought mine, William, it was, I think, £18, £17. So literally all the masks are constantly going up. But as we've been saying for the last couple of weeks, that's to be expected. Don't wait till there's an emergency when you need something to buy it. if there was a nuclear accident, I wouldn't be buying any Geiger counters as a hobby item for the time being, because I bet they'd jump way up in price. Somebody said that 70% alcohol is the sweet spot of where it's most efficient at killing stuff. I mean, you could use stronger alcohol, but apparently it doesn't break stuff down as well. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, it's always a good idea to have satchels, because then you can carry the mask without having the mask visible. I don't know really what you could do other than keep your distance, Soviet man. FP3 filters or P3 filters work against corona, yes. I don't have any Myra gas masks for people who constantly keep asking me about Myra masks. How does it make a difference, Potato Flinger, what the if it's methanol or ethanol? Thank you very much, Alexander. You said, could you make a video about general behavior aspects during the pandemia, hygiene, communicating with others, self-defense? Great videos on masks, but that's also important. Yeah, certainly will. Thank you for the donation. I'll be very careful what I say, though, because I'm in the UK. We don't really have proper freedom of speech. So if I say, like, here is a gun, if somebody tries to rob you, shoot them, I would get in a lot of trouble. So I'll have to be very careful about what I say, but I can certainly say things like that. What I might do is say about different aspects of when it starts getting worse, steps you might want to take, about increasing social distancing, more and more as and when it gets worse and worse. But thank you for the donation. Steve said, would the 3M RBE57 Papa work as a normal filter? Let's look that up. I assume if it's a Papa system, you'd need a filter put into it. Looking at that, the Papa cartridge, it looks like it is just a regular filter that attaches to a pump system. So yeah, I don't know if you mean, would it work as a regular cartridge as in, could you screw it into a regular mask? I don't know, because I don't know what the fitting's like. But in terms of, would it offer the same protection as regular filters? Yes. If you got one that wasn't the right filter fitting for the mask, I suppose you could always duct tape it to the mask. Would what be harder to breathe through, Steve? The pump filter? Probably easier. Well, it depends how they've done it, but I think it might just be it uses a different mount, 40mm, looking at that. But I think if you had it mounted somehow, I don't think there'd be any difference in airflow, really. Glasses would probably help Dankaroni for that reason, assuming you're not wearing a mask. But yeah, I don't end up touching my eyes much when I've got my glasses on, even if I end up touching my nose and mouth. But I just personally hate contacts. I've never got on with them when I've tried them. I really don't know, Magic Platypus. I've seen most sites that advise you on things you can use to kill it. They always say 70% or 65%, like those sort of numbers. Wasn't it yesterday it got to Romania? But yeah, stay safe. It's hard to say, Jason. You might want to base it on how many confirmed cases or suspected cases there are in your country, how paranoid you are. I'm not saying paranoid in a harsh way. I just mean at the moment paranoid in just, the completely legitimate way of using the word paranoid. Like thinking when rather safe than sorry, but nobody can make that decision for you. It's a decision you have to make for yourself. Full face mask will be fine. You can always wear a raincoat with it if you need your ears covered in that. UVB light should work fine. Apparently UVA works to a degree as well, but I've got a UVB light here, very bright and pale. It's yet to burn my skin or burn my eyes. So yeah, any type of UV should work. UVC is the most efficient, but UVC will also burn you. Pretty much all my masks at work are useful for coronavirus, yes. But unless you have good hygiene and, decontaminate properly and have the mask on whenever you meet somebody who might be infected, they're not going to do anything for you. Because the problem is, so thank you, Martin. How fast does UVA and UVB disinfect viruses? I think it depends on the wattage of the lamp, the proximity to it, and sort of how much might have coated it and the surface. And thank you again, Alexander. Read my last message, just exchange real guns and crossbows with water pistols and suction arrows in your video as well. Yeah, I can probably say a bit more than that, but yeah, it's just I'll have to be careful what I say, but yeah. I think viewers will get the idea. It's just I've had sometimes people complain before when I use terminology, to get around something that, oh, why aren't you explicitly saying like what you'd use to stab people or something like, yeah, because that's not the point. And thank you very much, Code Zero. Hi, I'm new to your channel and was wondering if the Finish M71 P3 filters will protect me and how would I protect my ears? Protect your ears, just get a raincoat and put the raincoat hood over your head like that, so the mask sealing of it. Finish M65s and M71s are very good. I've got what I've been told by my Finnish viewers is actually an M65, not the M71 like I previously thought. Apparently the only difference is the M71 has a bit more plastic around it to be cheaper to mass produce. But yeah, M65s and M71s are very good quality masks. All right, Tactical Pirate. I'm not going to be on all that long. I'm going to probably be on half an hour or so for this stream. So another 15 minutes or so. It's just because I got up quite early to do volunteering today. And I've had quite a busy day where I've had to do stuff as soon as I got back from volunteering. So, it was get up early this morning, drive 30 odd miles like I always do to volunteer, and then drive back, get some video stuff filmed, replied to some comments, helped my mum sort a load of stuff out earlier, and then, was doing stuff earlier and then on the stream. So I don't want to spend all my evening, doing YouTube stuff. There's only 2 real options as far as I know for children's masks, and thank you very much, Nintendo Boy. Just dropping by again to support one of my favourite YouTubers. Cheers, my guy. Thank you very much, Nintendo Boy. But yeah, going back to children's masks, they're a Soviet PDF series masks, and I assume Russia still makes PDF series masks, but they're 40mm GOST. There's Israeli youth masks, which are probably quite good. Well, they are very good, but, I've never had to use one myself. I think Myra supposedly do youth masks, but I don't know if they're any good. There's some old Yugoslav youth masks as well. But the issue is, I'd said for most people, if you can afford it, get the Israeli youth masks, because they're at least, built to a very good modern standard. Interesting thing, it could be a pure coincidence, but I sort of doubt it. When I got back from volunteering today, I went to the petrol station to fill up at sort of 1 p.m. sort of time, UK during the week. It's normally very quiet there because most people are at work. So you sometimes see like couriers and stuff filling up there and like random old people, but that's it. Today I had to queue up for fuel. Just the sheer amount of people that were just trying to get fuel from the petrol station was pretty crazy. So, could be a pure coincidence, but I doubt it. I was filling up today just because my tank was quite low, and I thought I want to get some petrol while I know I can get it, rather than wait and then find out if I need to fill my car up in a week that, oh no, nowhere has fuel because all the drivers are ill. Thank you very much, person whose name I won't be able to pronounce. Would putting tape around a filter extend shelf life? I lost my filter cap. Yeah, if you have a filter and it's open, if you mean putting like duct tape or something over the filter holes, yes, that would work, because you're blocking air from moving through the filter. I've said about that before in videos, Gaia, but if you've got a spray bleach or sanitizer or a rubbing alcohol, just spray them, just spray that on the mask and that and rub it down with that. UV light does degrade some gear. It depends on the gear, especially Soviet masks. But again, it would depend on the intensity and time left under the UV. personally, I'd be a lot less worried about a mask browning and cracking over, the period of a month. You might have to now and again use a UV light on it to sterilize it than getting coronavirus. Personally, that's just me though. The Martin 123 said UK sterilization standards requires 26 kilogram Y. About how long? How long? How much is that? I never looked into it. Is that using radiation sterilization? Because that's similar to kind of centigrays. Is that grays? Kilograys? 26 kilograys. If that's 26 kilograys, that is way more than Chernobyl levels of sterilization. So you're never going to manage that with radionuclides in your house, or I hope you never would. But that's because that's to properly kill everything dead in probably quite a short period. If you had less strong things, you'd probably just want to leave them under the light for longer. But if you're on about grays, that is centigrays on that. So with grays, it's like sieverts. It goes micrograys, milligrays, centigrays, grays, and then it would be kilograys. That goes up to 300 centigrade, which would be about 300 Rontgen or 3 gray. So, and that's a doomsday level of radiation. So you do not want to be around anywhere near that much of radiation if that was what you're on about. Nintendo Boy said, I keep donating them, forgetting I did have a question. Several masks I got them. This came with an adapter. The adapter was super glued in by the sellers. This recommended as Matt. Do you know what sort of adapter that was? I'm quite curious. What model of mask was it? Yeah, I'd like to know what that is, because I don't know, without knowing what the mask is, what the adapter is. So thank you anyway. And Eric said, I got a 3M6000 series half mask. What would be a good filter for the coronavirus? Do I need a combination filter? It wouldn't hurt to get a combination filter, but P3/P100 will be absolutely fine. So you can get those 3M plastic case ones. I'll add you on Discord. Let me do that now. And a bit later on, I'll check what messages I've been sent on Discord, because all of a sudden there are messages when I didn't spot any earlier. As soon as you accept the friend request, I can invite you to the server. Seeing if Nintendo's made another comment about what masks they were, because that's interested me now. Oh, the most recent was an M7160. Right. The reason for that is, it's not great they've glued it in, but the reason was that Finland used both, weirdly, 60 and 40mm filters during the Cold War. So if I get my finished masks out, I've got more finished masks than this, but military M61s, for some reason, were 60mm. M65s and M71s are 40mm. So the reason they had adapters was because they couldn't always get one type of filter. So I think it was just so if they had 40mm filters, they could use the 40mm filters on these. And I think they might have even had a reverse one, so you could have used 60mm filters on 40mm masks, which is obviously a very obsolete thing now. But yeah, the weird thing is Finland was using 40 and 60mm masks during the same time period, with no plans of changing it around. But yeah, that's the answer to that, I would assume. That somebody decided to glue in something that didn't really need to be glued in. Roman B, thank you very much. He said, got an FP5 from Poland on eBay, says it expires 2016, but it's to work. Against coronavirus, yes, because all you need for that is the particle filter in the front. Particle filters don't really expire. Weirdly, the two filters I was showing here were FP5s. That's just because I've got shitloads of FP5s in my drawers and with different things. But yeah, with expired NBC filters, as long as they're not expired for decades where they might be structurally damaged, you only really have to worry about vapor protection going over age. Particle protection still works fine, because all it is basically, like a cotton or paper mesh kind of material that stops dust from getting through. All right, Eric, let me invite you to the server. It's simply because I think a lot of Africa doesn't have test kits. Right. As far as I'm aware, unknown, ionizing radiation does not damage masks. I assume in extreme amounts, beta radiation might slightly brown a mask, a bit like UV. However, I think neutrons would damage masks, because neutrons would actually irradiate masks and make them unstable, wouldn't it? But that's kind of a physicist level thing. But as far as I'm aware, if you walked into a really insane gamma field with a gas mask on, your internals are going to fry a lot faster than the mask, because masks are pretty simple. Electronics can certainly be damaged by radiation, but I don't think rubber and metal would be. Alexander said, would GOS filters work for NATO 40mm filter slots? Right, Alexander. GOS filters fit into NATO masks fine, but NATO filters don't fit into GOS masks fine. Because while they're both 40mm, the thread pitch is slightly different in each one. And because GOSs, I think, has slightly thinner thread pitch, that means they screw into NATO fine, but the chubbier NATO screws don't go into the GOS threads fine. I think that's the reason it works that way. There's also an older thing called 40mm DIN, as in DIN, and that's the superior filter thread, because DIN filters, DIN threads take both GOST and NATO filters and DIN. So weirdly, World War II era masks in 40mm DIN are actually kind of better than both STANAG and STANAG NATO / GOST. Not easily, racist watermelon. If somebody makes an adapter, you could use an adapter, but I think it would either require 3D printing or kind of taping something on. Thank you, Caroline. Thanks for your video on different masks today. Much clearer for me, loving you in black, so handsome. Right, thank you very much. But, yeah, what was today's video? Because I film them a few days in advance. I used to film my videos about a month in advance, but recently, because of all the Corona stuff, the videos are filmed like 1 or 2 days in advance. Oh, it's the filter compatibility, wasn't it? Yeah, to do with things like 3M masks, and they're like 3-point filters, the Force 8, and it had like the 4-point filter, and how like there's 40mm military masks and all that. Yeah, I remember now. I just had to look up what I'd actually scheduled for today. The M40 I've got, I really like. The only issue of the M40 is I've complained from like an actual NBC standpoint, it'd be absolutely fine for Corona, is the mask's made from silicon to be more comfortable, but silicon is silicon is weak to blister agents like mustard gas and Lewisite. So they actually had to make a thing for the M40 called the second skin, which is kind of, it looks like a fetish latex hood that goes, it's butyl, I think, but the point is there's kind of like a BDSM looking hood that you have to put on your bloody M40 to make it proof against certain gases, so your mask has to wear a mask. So that's my kind of complaints with the M40, is as good a mask it is, I think, in terms of design, like voice diaphragm, like field of view, you know, being 40mm, all that, can't really fault it for any of that. I just wish they made it from a stronger rubber originally, rather than, you know, making a mask that then had to have a secondary mask put over it. Oh yeah, sure, thank you, Nintendo Voyage on Discord. Anybody that donates gets added on Discord, but if people are donating, the most convenient way to get added on Discord is to give me your Discord ID in the super chat. That way I won't miss it. But when people then later on in the stream post their Discord ID, sometimes I miss that because it just gets buried in all the other comments. But yeah, I've just sent you a friend's invite. When you accept that, I'll invite you to server. But thank you again for all the donations. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the second skin. It's just I wish they made the mask out of butyl in the first place, or just put a silicone like oral nasal cap on the inside if they wanted to make it more comfortable, and then, you know, had the outside be butyl or whatever, or another really resilient rubber. Because yeah, the problem is of having a silicone outer mask is that mustard gas and things like that will just corrode the mask really fast. Your Swiss SM67 will be absolutely fine. It's 40mm. I'm pretty sure it's 40mm NATO, if not it's 40mm DIN. So yeah, just simply shove a brand new filter on it to be safe, and then yeah, there you go. You've got a working mask. Assuming that's in good condition, you know, that it's not all ripped apart due to age or whatever. Right, I'm not a massive fan of the M10 and M10M, but if you've got particulate filters in them, or the NBC filters, the M10 would protect you, yes, because it's at least got a decent filter medium between you and the virus. Right, I'm pretty certain, Lou, that the Czech CM4 is 40mm GOST. However, I've read some people saying it's 40mm NATO. So I don't know if it works pretty much with every GOST filter, and then it's a bit fussy whether or not it works with certain NATO filters and not others. But it's certainly GOST, and you can probably get some NATO filters to fit it, I imagine. Morgan said, can I duct tape a P3 filter to my gas mask intake? Yeah, as long as you get all the tape in the right place so it doesn't leak, then yeah, you could just, in theory, tape the wrong brands of like 3M filters to 40mm masks or whatever. As long as the air bit, only the air is going to go through the filter and not around any little gaps, then yeah, it would work fine. I mean, obviously, it's preferable if you've got a 40mm mask but 40mm filter on it. Let's say you couldn't get supplies. As long as you use electrical tape, duct tape, plumber's tape, and you do it thick enough that it does become airtight, then yes, you are forcing the air through the filter, so the filter does its job. Colin said, thanks for the videos, you pal. Super informative and fun to watch. Do you mind adding me on Discord my ideas to the contractor? Or let me sort that out for you now. Thank you for the donation. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough, but I'm hoping that's an actual cough. Not what. But I think it's more just I set my asthma off a bit earlier when I was volunteering because I got a load of hay dust down me. And obviously, that's not great if you have asthma. There was a thing on the news earlier about if you have asthma, will coronavirus be even worse for you? And they basically said, oh, it might be. That's helpful, isn't it? Is it just them not saying, oh, yeah, you're really fucked? Oh, thank you very much, Ratboy. So N95 masks are gone where I live in the US. I have about 10 and a month worth of food already, and just bought some ammo for my SKS. How is GB supplies? Right. What I was saying to people, thank you for the donation, Ratboy. When I was in the petrol station earlier, like a gas station, as you'd call it in the States, I think people were panic buying then because I just went to fill up because my fuel tank was pretty low when I got back from volunteering, and yeah, there was a queue for fuel, and there's never normally a queue at like 1 p.m. sort of time when I was there. Normally at that time of day, you maybe see one or two other people on the forecourt. So that was busy. So it could just be a pure coincidence, but I reckon people are panic buying. It's not like you see in Italy and all that sort of stuff yet in the UK, where you see like the supermarkets that are just empty shelves. But give it a week or two, if we keep getting more cases, which we will, it's just a matter of when, not if, then yes, it will be. Like a lot of the scenes you're seeing coming out of Italy and South Korea and everywhere else. In terms of masks, on Amazon, let's say you want to buy like hardware masks on Amazon, most of them are on back order at this point, and they go up like £5 every week at this point. So let's say you're in the States, it'd be like a mask that normally has an RRP of $20. Like, it says it's delayed a week and then it's $25, and then the next week it's you have to put a back order in for another week or two, and then they're $30. So yeah, the stock's getting harder and harder to get in that regard. Blue Ravens bollocks, great username. Said sorry to bother, but I've purchased a M3. When you say M3, do you mean the 3M 6800? What's your opinions on it regarding Corona? Thank you. Is that the full face 3M mask with the big panoramic visor? Put some P3, P100 filters on. Be absolutely fine. The filters, the best 3M filters, in my opinion, out of the easy to get ones are these. The 3M 6038, or there's another one that's pretty similar equivalent to that, just because these have a plastic casing on, making them easier to disinfect. But they're just good P3, P100 filters if you look on the inside of them. It reached Ireland today, apparently, but I think it's Northern Ireland, not the Republic at the moment. That's all right, Sparrow. If you're interested in the video, I think it's Saturday that video goes live. All you would need is a screwdriver or 2 screwdrivers and a pair of pliers to take the GSR mounts off. Bear in mind, I did it in the way of you can do it quickly this way. You don't need to mess about, but you're probably going to cause a little bit of damage to the parts. Thank you, QWERTY. Let me add you. But yeah. I need to get an Avon GSR at some point, but at the moment I imagine they're horribly, horribly overpriced. But I want to see how much Avon improved than the original Scott type one I've got there. I mean, personally, if I had a holiday booked to Italy, I'd probably cancel it. Or if I went, I'd try and, isolate myself as much as possible. The thing is, because Corona's getting everywhere at this stage, as much as it's currently worse in Italy, I don't think now it's basically, we know for a fact it's pretty much all around the world. I wouldn't really worry about one country more than another unless you say I'm going on holiday to Wuhan or something. Personally, I would say nuclear war is worse than a virus, just simply for the fact that if enough cities got glassed, you'd have to deal with a lot of the same kind of socio-economic fallout after a nuclear war, but you'd also be maybe dying from radiation poisoning, which is a fucking awful way to go. Thank you, Kronos. Let me add you. But yeah, it's a virus is certainly up on the list of nasty things to happen. Thank you again, Khalil. He says, I use a TfL to get to work. Is that transport for London? I don't feel comfortable using my Force 10 yet or any masks on the tube. I've seen some pictures on the BBC of people wearing dust masks on the tube. So it's getting to the point where I think it's going to be acceptable. Thank you, Ro. If anybody questions it when you've got a mask on, say it's to protect you, protect them from you, and then stop going. That would be my only advice. Maybe they'd fuck off quickly if you do that. Thanks, AV. He said, thanks for all your vids, man. Have been a long time fan. Here's my Discord ID. Thank you. Let me add you as well. Yeah, I would say at the moment, it's going to be down to a personal choice again when you feel comfortable enough wearing the mask. But personally, if you felt a bit awkward on public transport with a mask on compared to getting coronavirus, potentially dying or infecting friends and family and then having them die as well, I know which one I prefer. It would be feeling a bit awkward. But, again, this is a choice for everybody to make. Don't be like that stupid woman that was on the news saying something like, oh, I didn't wear a mask on public transport and people thank me for not being alarmist. Thank you, DF. Let me add you. But yeah. The thing I hate with a lot of the media at the moment is how they're constantly saying this twice thing that, like, when people go, oh, masks are effective. Oh, there's no evidence that masks are effective except when it's doctors wearing them. So it's effective when doctors are directly working with infected people to be wearing some sort of mask. Yet it's not effective just to randomly have a mask when you pass people on the street. Doesn't quite make sense. Although the problem is with a lot of these media articles is they don't distinguish between actual like N95 masks, proper respirators, and like surgical masks. Little just cheap basically bits of paper over your mouth, which is part of the problem. The very few people I've heard, some have done it, but very few have actually said that, there's different types of masks out there. When people ask about masks, they basically go, no, it won't help you. Which again is really irresponsible. It was like that thing I complained about a year or two ago when there was that eruption in Hawaii, and people online were asking what kind of mask do I need because there's all this like smoke everywhere. And like I think it was FEMA or something said, oh, don't bother getting a mask because you won't know what type to get. So I said, look, get an N95 or any other kind of dust mask that will protect you from inhaling a lot of the ashy kind of smoke stuff. Ideally, though, you want a E2P3 filter because then that's acidic vapor rating 2, so it gives you good protection from like the sulfur kind of gases that come out of volcanic eruptions, and it also has the particle filtering to like stop a lot of the smoke getting through the mask. Again, that's helpful advice for people, but when the people who are meant to be the people giving out the advice just go, you wouldn't know how to use it, don't ask. No, that's not helpful at all. You think at worst, they just want to give people advice so they could say, look, if you are going to get a mask, get this type, rather than just saying you wouldn't know what to get or they don't work full stop, which is clearly not true. Oh, thank you again, Nintendo Boy. So, did you happen to find a reasonably priced cost 14mm tablet? I've ordered one, yeah. I've ordered one. It'll probably take a couple of weeks to arrive, so I don't think it's on priority shipping. But yeah, when it comes, I've got one. I think tax was at least included when I bought it. So, like I've already paid the tax on it. So I think postage and the tax came to like $15. And I think it was $10 to $15 for it. So it's about $30, which is like £25 at the moment. So yeah, it's a bit expensive for me, but for like what it is. But I know a lot of people have been asking about them, so I can at least do videos on it now. Oh, thank you, Ron. Let me add you. Oh, sorry, Camper, sorry. I saw your currency then. Thought that was your name. Yeah, let me add you. So far today, everybody's given me the correct Discord ID, which is pretty impressive because on most streams, you'll get quite a few people not know their actual Discord IDs. But yeah. I'll be off in a couple of minutes because I've already been on 40 minutes, even though I said I was going to be on 30 minutes at max. Hoods always go over the top of the mask. If you have a hood up and then you put the straps of the mask over the hood, you risk breaking the seal. Because basically it's designed so the hoods go over. An important thing to see on like this thing in most NBC suits, notice the hoods are pretty elasticated. If I can pull that over. So see that, look. It looks pretty small, that hood. The reason is you unzip it, you put your mask on and all that, then you stretch the hood over so the hood does around the mask like that. If you did it the other way around, it wouldn't work properly. In a lot of movies, you always see guys, because it looks cool, with the hoods on and then the straps over the hood. Oh, let me just add the people who donated, thank you. But yeah, in reality, there might be some exceptions to this, but every single NBC suit and all that I've tried, you always put the mask on and then you pull the hood over, never the other way around. Because yeah, if you break the seal by putting the hood in the way, with the mask to your face, then the mask is useless because the air won't be filtered, the air goes around it. No, I'll be going off in a couple of minutes. N95 masks are better than nothing, but they're kind of the worst of real masks. Because as I said, the thing is, an N95 mask, again, it depends what you rate your N95 mask as. If you just mean like P1 masks, the very simple dust masks. The thing is with these masks is they don't necessarily make a good face seal. This particular model is very good because they've got this kind of mesh stuff over it that means the mask actually pulls tight to your face. I've not played Armour in ages, Luke. What have I been playing recently? Zombie Survival on Gary's mod. Far Cry 5 and Far Cry New Dawn. I'm waiting for Bannerlord to come out next month, assuming we're still alive to play it. Bannerlord should be good fun. I've been waiting ages for Mountain Blade 2. P95 filters. Again, if you have the choice of any mask where you can put different filters on, always go for P100, P3 if you can for that, for like particle threats. If you can only get P95s, then P95s will have to do, but basically if you have 3 filters, that you have the choice between, they all retail for very similar prices. One gives 95% protection, the other gives 97%, and the other gives 99% protection. Why not go for the one that gives 99% protection? It just makes more sense. I always answered this yesterday, 45. What you can see is the speech diaphragm is made from a clear plastic, so light goes through it. Now, is my M15 handy here? Yes, it is. Right. No, I took the battery out of this torch, so I can't demonstrate it with this torch. Hang on. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'll get my really, really bright flashlight to show you this. But yeah, all you're seeing is light coming through the voice diaphragm because the voice diaphragm is made from a clear plastic. It's a bit like if you shone a light through a plastic bag, you'd see it. But yeah, so there's the mask. So the reason you're seeing light come through it is the voice diaphragm is made from clear plastic. That's pretty bright, but yeah, the reason you see light come through it is just because it's a clear plastic voice diaphragm. If the mask doesn't pressure check, then you've got a problem, but simply seeing light come through a voice diaphragm is not a problem. Lots of people complain about that, but it's very, very ever rarely a problem. So there you go. I hope that answers that. But yeah, it's just clear voice diaphragm means that you end up seeing through the voice diaphragm. Yeah, that's quite worrying, isn't it, Steve? Oh, sorry. Silvio Tantos, if I'm pronouncing your name right. What do you think of UV lamp for disinfection? I've got a UVB lamp I've been running near me quite a while. It's also because it simulates daylight a bit better than regular bulbs. I like it for that reason. UV is meant to be very good for decontamination. UVC is the best, apparently, but UVC burns your skin and eyes, so it's not that practical unless you're using it in a room you're not going to be in. UVB is the one that's basically used in sunbed type things, so it mimics sunlight. I think the closest out the UV artificial lamps. UVA is kind of like this one that that looks quite blue to the human eye, and it makes stuff glow in the dark. So out of all of them, I think UVA apparently does work to an extent, but often it just depends on the wattage of the bulb and also what type of UV it is. So high watt UVC is better than low watt UVA. Like it would probably work out high watt UVA would be equal to medium watt UVB or low watt UVC, But UVB I like because it's the one that's the middle of the road effectiveness, and it's not going to burn your eyes and skin from just sitting next to it, unlike UVC, which also just belches out ozone and smells horrid. Yeah, people retesting is very worrying. I think we're going to have to wait and see more info on that, because there's a few theories. I mean, it could be that this is just the biblical doomsday virus, and essentially you're never going to be free of it. Like, you can have no immunity, there can never be a vaccine, and if that's the case, I think everybody will literally die eventually, unless they can just live in a bunker forever. But what I would assume it's more likely to be is, yes, that it lays dormant in the system for a while or some stuff like that. But because a lot of people said that as similarities to HIV, could it be like that? Because HIV is incurable, isn't it? Like when you get HIV, they can treat it, and if they don't treat it, it turns into AIDS, doesn't it? But it might be something like that, where, I don't know, I'm just taking a completely uneducated guess here, but my guess would be that maybe, yeah, it lies dormant in your system and can just randomly keep coming back, which is why, you're almost not clear of it. So yeah, very worrying. The better they make a vaccine or something, the better. Depends how much it costs, say Maury, but Yugo masks tend to melt, sadly, because the rubber they're made from isn't great. But otherwise, the M1's an alright mask. It's just not made from a good rubber. Thank you, Unknown. Keep in mind, long term, it might damage your eyes. Yeah, completely right there. I think most things long term can damage. It would, again, depend on the wavelength and if it's got a coating on it and things like that. Again, research some of that stuff for yourself. But yeah, UVB so far hasn't harmed me. But I think when it's used in suntan beds, for example, it's like really high watt UVB, where this is quite a low wattage still, because it's just designed, basically, this one to be used in animal enclosures. So I've just got on a lamp, so when I turn it on, it feels less depressing when it gets dark so early. Anyway, I'll be off. Thank you massively to everybody that donated again. I've only been on 45 minutes, and there was loads of donations. I'm probably going to get the gas masks answer video filmed for Sunday. To go on Sunday, the questions and answer one. The problem is I've had so many comments on that video, I can't reply to all of them. I've picked quite a few questions, but it'll probably end up being like a 30-40 minute video just replying to like 7 or 8 questions. So what I might do is in like 2 weeks' time do another gas mask Q&A kind of video, part 2, and then just take comments from different people. But yeah, don't forget to like the stream. Thank you, Mobes Washpot on the way out. And then, yeah, thank you to everybody that's donated. And stay safe, everybody. All right, see you all. Goodbye.